The last time I worked as a makeup artist was in 2017, and in this video I'm going to talk about 5 of the things that I still follow despite being out of the industry for a relatively long time. Hello, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ria. I'm a former journalist turned essentially YouTuber, marketing and public relations expert. I worked in journalism for about a decade before I decided to leave the industry and pursue my passions of being creative and just trying to have a bit more of a work-life balance. In today's video, we're going to talk about some of the things I find to be a bit of a gimmick when it comes to cosmetics mainly, and then some of the things that I actually do still subscribe to. When you look at the makeup industry, it's hard not to think of everything ultimately as a gimmick, especially if you're an outsider looking in and you're not a fan of makeup. I've always loved makeup. I actually developed a passion and a love for makeup when I was about 14. That was when I entered my first beauty pageant. Yes, I am a pageant girl. I ended up winning a local title, but I gave it up about 8 or 9 months in because I didn't feel like the organization I had won with was the right kind of fit for me. You have to stand up for what you feel is right, and if things aren't aligning, then it's time to move on and put your energy into something that you feel is important. I actually ended up taking a couple of classes in makeup before I went on my pageant journey because I just wanted to learn. You know, was there a way to be creative and express myself on the daily without having to look at it forever on a wall? Which is funny because I now do photography, but at the time that was my logic and my train of thought, which is so weird. I ended up falling in love with makeup. After I finished my pageant journey at that time, I decided that I was going to work towards working with cosmetics. I just didn't know how. So one of the first things I did was definitely shadow people, whether it was with prosthetics, whether it was with color or everyday makeup. It was a lot of fun to do. Obviously, cosmetics and makeup, that's such a broad area. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to be talking about a couple of very basic things. So I'm going to talk about the makeup itself, and I'm going to talk about skincare. I do believe that in order to execute your makeup well, you need to have a really good skincare, and that skincare needs to be practiced every single day. Some of the items that are out there that claim to do certain things and that are just ultimately like, why are these things out there? I still fall victim to these things, and hey, ultimately what it comes down to is just really damn good marketing. There is a serum that I recently tried by The Ordinary. It is pink and, you know, it looks like Pepto-Bismol, but it really suckered me in because the packaging and the setup at a place like Sephora, it really drew me in. I didn't like it. You know, it's getting mixed reviews right now on a variety of different websites, but for me, it's just a no. And when I think back to when I was purchasing this item, I was like, I think this might be a gimmick. If in your gut you feel like it is a gimmick, don't buy it. I have done that many times over. It's just not a good idea if you're thinking that you're going to be parting with like 20, 30, 50. I've seen people part with like $300-400 just to buy a cream, which I'm like, but that's just the way it was and still is. It's probably more expensive now than it's ever been. If there's something that you're thinking doesn't quite work for you, don't buy it. Don't put yourself into that debt where you're like, you know, halfway through using it and you're like, man, I should have just gone with my gut and not purchased it. Please, please, please do your research. I think that's a big mistake that people have often gone in with, going to places like Sephora. In Canada, we have something called Shoppers Drug Mart and London Drugs. So people going in and going, I want to buy this, and then not having done any research. And even stepping back from that, another thing that I want to talk about is everything that is a brand name, just because something has a certain amount of money attached to it, does not necessarily mean that it is going to transform your life and be the golden ticket when it comes to your skincare or your makeup. I've seen people spend hundreds of dollars on mascara. Mascara is a perfect example. Just to switch it up a little bit and go from the skincare to the makeup. $40, $50, $60 on mascaras, and people want the best that is out there. Lancome and YSL at the time when I was working in the industry still, they were some of the biggest names, and they still are, but they were so hot at the time that we couldn't even keep Hypnose on the shelf. People don't realize that there is some overlap in ownership, and a really good example of this is Lancome. Lancome's actually owned by L'Oreal. Mind you, when I was in the industry, when I was still working with makeup, it was a steal of a deal to purchase a L'Oreal mascara over a Lancome mascara because you would save $15, $20. Now the prices are starting to meet very much like it used to be like this. Now it's kind of the disparity, the gap in that is closing. I still get people who ask me for recommendations and I'm like, how much do you want to spend? If you're feeling like you want to splurge and get yourself that mascara, there's nothing wrong with that, but just know that there is a lot of overlap in ownership. L'Oreal is a big one. Like some people don't even know that Maybelline and L'Oreal are the same company, and when they find out, they're shocked. Do your research. It always comes back to doing your research, but also there may be alternatives out there that are a much better price, and you may be paying for the same company's stuff, you just don't know it. This one's a little bit controversial, and I can see both sides of this because I have been on both sides of the coin, especially suffering from severe cystic acne. A lot of the advice has been not to buy stuff from a place like Sephora because a lot of that stuff is not good for your skin, and I hear dermatologists say it a lot. They'll go, no, you should just stick with a derm or like something prescribed by your doctor. Cetaphil is a really good example. You would never find Cetaphil in a Sephora, right? But oftentimes it is recommended by dermatologists because it is gentle and it's usually effective at getting all the stuff you need to get off from living your day while not disrupting your skin's barrier. I think you need to look at what's good for you and for your budget. So there are some products at Sephora that aren't the worst. You know, I complained about The Ordinary at the start of this video, but I really love The Ordinary's Lash and Brow Serum. I am a child of the 90s, so I plucked all my eyebrows off. I am paying the price for it now, but I'm using products that are hopefully helping to grow back that hair, and I do see a little bit of a difference. I wouldn't survive on all things Sephora. I definitely do check in with my doctor to see what I should be using. I only found out recently that there were other products that I could use to help with my acne. I am on medication for acne, both an oral and a topical, just to keep things under control, and I am seeing a difference, and I've also changed my diet. Sometimes it may not be the skin or like just the skincare, it has to be everything. It has to be from a holistic experience and perspective. I think one of the other misconceptions too, or like something else that people don't think about, is sometimes you don't need to fix the problem with other products. Sometimes there are just things you need to do with your makeup kit and with your skincare that will make a huge, huge difference. I think the two big things for me, number one, washing my brushes. I need to do a much better job of that. Actually, when I was in the industry, I would constantly wash my brushes every single day because you're working on different people. You want to make sure that everything is as clean as possible for your client. And the second thing is when I'm washing my face, I actually change the face cloth every night. I love this tip. I know it's like, why? You would have to do laundry every single day. But if you have enough face cloths, and we keep a stack of, I want to say like 14 or 15 microfiber cloths that we use, and they are specifically for our bodies, for my husband and myself. So anytime I've used it, especially if I'm taking off makeup, I use a balm to take my makeup off. So I go into the bedroom and I will take one cloth and I will use that to wipe off all my makeup and to wash my face, and then it goes in the laundry. As awful as this sounds, the bacteria that lives on that cloth afterwards, it's really gross to think about. On TikTok, there is like a whole culture of makeup. It is interesting, some of the videos you will see that show basically swabs of like people's bathrooms and like people's makeup kits and like people's towels, what is actually in those things. Especially if you're somebody who suffers from acne. I mean, I would say this for anybody who wears a lot of makeup, or just anybody who wants to really take care of their face and take care of their skin. Please make sure you're changing your towels and think about what you're using to dry your face as well, because I know a lot of people, including myself, I will do this when I'm in a rush, but they use their body towels that are hanging in the bathroom to dry their face. I wear sunscreen every single day, 365 days a year if I'm going outside. If I'm not going outside, I don't really wear sunscreen, but like if I'm planning to be outside, yes, I will absolutely wear sunscreen. I wear it under my makeup, I wear it alone, and the reason why is because you get a lot of damage from UVA and UVB rays, and one of the best ways to protect yourself is through proper shading from the sun. As a youngster, you know, I was discouraged from being out in the sun because in Filipino culture, I'm half Filipino for those who don't know, but in Filipino culture, it's something to be proud of if your skin is very light or very bright, which I completely disagree with, but I grew up in that thought process where my mother refused to have me be out in the sun. I decided to go off on a binge and be outside in the sun, and I burned my skin a lot and I am paying the price for some of that. I have severe cystic acne and my back is really, really bad, and I boil it down to spending way too much time in the sun. Sun care now is something for me that I really, really value, and it's never too late to get started. I will fall off the wagon when it comes to sun care, and there was a time where the company whose sunscreen I use, they weren't making it for a while, or there was some kind of shortage during the pandemic, so I could not for the life of me find the sunscreen that I like to use. And so when they finally put some back on the market, I was like, hooray, and I am now back on the bandwagon, and I've been using sunscreen almost every day pretty much for the last 6 months, so I'm really proud of that. I have traveled with friends who have said, why is your skincare regimen so extensive? Part of it is just habit for me. I grew my skills as a makeup artist in an era where it was common to do like cleanse, toner, essence, eye cream, vitamin C, moisturizer, and then another moisturizer after that if you were like really, really dry, but that was rare. Being in my 30s, my skin has changed quite a bit, so my needs are quite different now. And then I'd have like acne treatments as well, and then I would do like face mists, and that was not the source of my breakouts. In fact, having a better skincare regimen really helped with my acne, so when I didn't take care of my skin, I was in a lot of trouble. And so people have made fun of me for having so many steps in my skincare, but I have scaled back since. I think the most steps I've ever had in a skincare regimen is 10. That's not including like facial massages and things like that. You don't have to go overboard, but it's really important to take care of your skin, and there is no harm in investing in sunscreen. Now, one of the other things that sort of leads into this, please do not use expired products on your face. I used to get people all the time who would come back when I was working at the drugstore and say, hey, I want to refund this because this product isn't working. I bought it 2 years ago, what's the deal? I paid $40 for it, why isn't it working? And the first thing I would do is I would look under the bottle and I would see that the expiry had happened ages ago. And it's not like some other products where the best before date is suggested. Like, that's usually when they put that on there, that's usually when the efficacy is like completely shot. Not only are you putting a really gross old expired product on your face, odds are you're probably not getting anything out of putting it on, and then who knows what kind of chemical reactions you're getting if you're putting sunscreen on that's expired. Other things to look out for that may have an expiry, you want to check your foundations. Foundations, especially with SPF, they may expire. Learn how to read lot numbers. They can be different for various regions. They typically aren't, but I know in Canada, like, there's some numbers that people will use for lot numbers that are a little bit like hard to understand. Some lipsticks also, I don't know if Lancome still makes a lipstick with SPF, but that's another example of something that you might want to look at to make sure that, you know, there isn't a best before date on it. But even so, there are some products like mascara that you're technically supposed to get rid of after 6 months. I am guilty of this, and I actually used to put stickers on that would say when I bought the item, but now I just set an alarm in my phone saying, hey, you've had this for 6 months, it's time to replace it. Those are probably some of the main tips that I still sort of survive on when it comes to makeup, especially being somebody who uses makeup and skincare as a way to, you know, take care of myself and have a hobby and something I enjoy. Ask as many questions as you can, because at the end of the day, it's your money and you want to make sure that it's going to something that is appropriate for you. And with that, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested, I post to this YouTube channel twice a week on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Feel free to subscribe if this is content that you're interested in, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!